Hello, I'm Johan Bergström-Allen, an academic based in York. This vlog showcases an exemplary aspect of my practice as a teacher, a concrete example of my teaching philosophy. I hope it will be informative for students and colleagues, and I'm submitting it towards the University of Liverpool's Postgraduate Certificate in Academic Practice. Throughout, I'll be referring to the 2011 UK Professional Standards Framework for Teaching and Supporting Learning in Higher Education, abbreviated to UKPSF. UKPSF codes will be referenced on screen, as well as literature from the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. Specifically, I'll be showing how my practice has improved by engaging with peer review and student feedback, particularly with regards to the notion of cognitive overload. I'll expand upon that shortly, but first let me set out one of the contexts in which I teach. I work with the Carmelite Institute of Britain and Ireland, or CIBI for short. Established in 2005, CIBI offers online distance learning programs in the spirituality and heritage of the Carmelites, a Catholic religious order dating back to the Middle Ages. Our programs are accredited by St Patrick's Pontifical University, Maynooth. CIBI's diverse enrolment of approximately 100 mature students, friars, nuns and lay people from different religious denominations, participate from over 20 countries. I helped establish CIBI and continue serving as a tutor, writing courses and engaging with students through assessments and other interactions. Reviewing my teaching with CIBI over 2 decades in the light of pedagogic theory, I can trace improvements that align with the academic practitioner stages described by Phil Crosby and the 3 levels of teaching identified by John Biggs and Catherine Tang. In my early years of teaching, I saw my responsibility as communicating specialist knowledge, expecting students to engage deeply with copious materials I provided. Biggs and Tang identify this as level 1, focusing on conveying content from the podium. Such one-way delivery inadvertently separates good learners from poor, rather than appreciating how different students learn. As I became more experienced, I progressed to level 2, transmitting not just data, but encouraging understanding. Students acquired skills, but responsibility for learning was still placed on me as a teacher. At level 3 teaching, the focus in the learning process is on what the student does, with the teacher supporting and facilitating students to undertake appropriate learning activities. I believe my progress as an academic practitioner is exemplified by my responsiveness to feedback from students and colleagues, particularly in applying cognitive load theory to my teaching. In the last 30 years, John Sweller and other educational psychologists researching neurobiology have used the term cognitive load to describe the amount of working memory used in the brain during learning. Put simply, a student's long-term memory can store, in principle, a vast amount of knowledge, but their short-term working memory can only hold a small amount of information at any one time. Teachers keen to impart knowledge run the risk of overloading students with more material than their brains can process. I can see this in my early teaching on the subject of religious devotions and popular piety. Not only was I a new teacher in a new institution, this was a new subject within the discipline of Carmelite studies, and I was keen to amass and share as much information as possible. I compiled extensive teaching materials. However, the feedback students gave me was that the amount was simply too much. This analysis was echoed by external examiners from the accrediting institution as part of their ongoing quality review of our curriculum. Students and colleagues praised the content quality, but felt overwhelmed by the quantity. Thanks to this insight, I went about reviewing my teaching materials in 2 ways. The first and simplest was to reduce the sheer amount of data students were exposed to. I made texts more concise and pointed keen students to additional reading. The second and more complex revision was to make material suitable for what is known as germane cognitive load, that is, the work a student's brain puts into making sense of information and creating a permanent store of knowledge. Students come with a certain amount of prior knowledge, organised in long-term memory, in a pattern known as a schema. If teachers can help students activate and retrieve this prior knowledge, it's easier for students to assimilate new information. Therefore, I went through my material, simplifying key ideas, using visual imagery as well as text, improving web page layout, and incorporating points for group discussion and personal reflection. Subsequent improvements in student assessments and feedback, as well as compliments from colleagues and external auditors, justified my revisions. My practice improved, thanks to looking through the 4 lenses of critical reflection identified by Stephen Brookfield: student feedback, colleagues' perceptions, personal experience, and theory. Cognitive load theory is now something I consider in all my work, and which I share with my peers when appropriate. In the reflective commentary accompanying this vlog, I expand on how cognitive load theory links to social constructivist theory, and the impact this has had on my philosophy of learning and teaching in higher education. Thank you for watching.